Hey, let's do a Trixie update. Why not? It's Easter. Happy Easter to you. So here's what's going on right now with Trixie. So, well, I'll explain that wheel in a minute. First of all, we've been making a lot of progress on the inside here. Boy, just a lot of work to get this thing ready to paint in here. But you can see that I've already got some white primer down. Been doing, I've been doing some other stuff here, like I did some lightening, weight reduction in here. I don't know if you can see that or not, but that is missing the entire interior door mechanism, the works, all the inside panel and everything, and of course that is sitting right there. 16 pounds lighter from that. I did both sides. Finished it kind of nicely around the edges, but I'm going to put some like some plastic trim around just so that nobody cuts themselves. Anyway, so I did that. I got the tail lights out, as you can see in there over there on the workbench, so that I could get some. I did a couple of things under here. Number one, you can see this this part right here. That is that used to be a big squared off piece right here, which you may remember from some other pictures. But I cut that out because I won't ever need to latch this glass down. Really, what this was support for the glass hatch latch. Wow, the hatch latch. All right. So. Anyway, that's pretty much what's going on so far, where we're at so far with it. I hope to get up inside of here sometime in the next couple of days. I need to drop this dash frame down or pull it out for a little bit so that I can get up to the firewall, which is kind of dark, you can't really see it, but to paint it right, I need to be able to get to all that stuff. So I'll be working on that. So in my hunt for a motor for Trixie, I've been trying to find a 13B because I found the guy that built this car, Rick Gould, and it took a lot of work. You'd think it'd be easier in 2015 to find somebody, but it was really quite a chore to find him. But I did find him. I've exchanged several emails with him, and he gave me some good background on the car. Actually told me the name of the guy that built the suspension, designed and built the suspension on the car, and told me some of the history. Apparently this car is raced on Laguna Seca, and he actually has a picture of it, which is kind of sweet. He's going to scan that and send it to me or something like that. So anyway, he did tell me that this car ran a 13B6 port in there, which is good news because that means that basically these parts that I've got right here, and especially this motor mount right here, this bracket, should be the right bracket to put into the 83 with a 13B, because that engine did not come stock in that car. So the conversion work basically has already been done, which is good news. So I was on the right track in searching for a 13B, and I've been looking and looking, and well, here's what I found. I found this car. And guess what? It has a 13B in it, which you can see. Well, you're gonna have to trust me that says 13B right there. So, what's the story on this car? Well, as you can see, it's freshly painted, or at least the paint that's on it is in pretty decent shape. So this car is a project in process, basically. This one is a 1984 RX-7 GSL SE. So the significance about the GSL SE in 84 and in 85 actually is that these were the only 2 years of the first generation car that came with a 13B motor and a limited slip rear end with rear disc brakes. So they designed this car to get it up, to get a little bit more sport factor out of it, I guess, to make it a little bit more, I don't know, fun to drive. And so this 13B in stock form should put out around 135 horsepower. It's a 6-port, which means that it's got 2 additional intake ports on it, which are designed to come into play over 4,000 RPM. So that gives it a little bit of boost as it gets up in the RPM range. So anyway, this car was on Craigslist for a few weeks. I've met and talked with the guy, talked with him a few times, and then met him, and I got a pretty good feeling about him, and you know, kind of the fact that this engine runs. He was not able to show that to me, but we talked a lot about it, and I feel good that it does run. He mentioned that it's got some, he's got some new fuel injectors for it, which I'll put those in. Basically, the goal is going to be to clean this car up and then get this engine running while it's in this car, and make sure I you know, shake it all down, and I don't know if I can, maybe I'll take it for a drive, but at a minimum I'm gonna do my best to get it running while it's in this car, and then I'll do the transplant later on. So so yeah, now you see this wheel right here on Trixie, which looks kind of like paint match and all that. It's sort of a neat looking wheel, but it's not going to work. At least it's not going to work with the rotors that I have on the back there, because the 84 and 85 came with a 4x113 wheel pattern, wheel lug pattern, and my poor old 83 only has 4x110, 110 millimeter. So unfortunately, the wheels, I got 2 sets of wheels. I got a full set of these stock wheels, which are kind of neat in their own way, and then I got that set right there. So I guess the goal is here to get that engine transplanted over into Trixie, and then you know, and then just kind of go from there. I don't know what I'm going to do with this car. It's somebody's put a lot of work into the paint. The paint looks really nice. As you can see on a couple of spots here where the guy that had it before me was trying to cut it and buff it just to get some runs out of the clear coat. But it seems like it's got a lot of clear coat. Plus it's got, you know, somebody put some work into this black fade job, which, I don't know, kind of cool. One thing I just discovered here too is that this sunroof, which is really just a solid panel, it opens up and it works. When I first saw it, I thought it was just a solid panel that was, you know, replacing a piece of glass, and then it, you know, it was fixed down. But as I started looking at it, cleaning the car out, that's what I found. Now, if I am not able, or I choose not to do anything with this car, I do need to recoup my money back for it, so I'll probably be selling off parts and pieces. And the very first thing I see that I can sell, probably get a few bucks for, are these seats. The seats are in amazing condition for an 84. Really no damage to the seats at all. They don't seem to be faded at all. They're very comfortable still. So that's one thing. You know, if I don't keep the spares, if I don't take the rear end out, for instance, and use that as a spare limited slip, then you know, that should be able to net me about 400 bucks or so. What I am going to try and do, though, is I'm going to try and see if these rotors will somehow fit onto the hubs that I have on Trixie. I don't think they will, but I'm not positive, so we'll see. Yeah, as you can see, the front bumper is missing, and so the cool thing about this stuff being off is that it's given me a little bit of a, I don't know, kind of a picture of what this car could look like maybe if I shaved the bumper down. You know, not necessarily for you save a few pounds in weight, but I could make, basically I could make a plastic bumper cover that might shave down and just kind of finish off this edge right here. This, I mean, it looks pretty slick right here, just without the bumper. It looks kind of cool, and you know, so it's giving me some design ideas. The rear glass is in really nice shape. I probably could sell this guy, maybe sell these quarter panel glasses here. It's got all the seals, and you've got all this stuff in here is basically parts that came off of this car, but also parts that came off of another car that this guy had he had in storage, and he ended up taking it to get rid of it, but he just grabbed a bunch of parts off of it. So I've got down here in this pile, got some interior parts. I've also got an extra ECU, which is kind of cool. Found in the glove box right here, a little laser detector, 3-band laser detector. So you know, that's worth some money right there. There's a CD player in it, and I suspect there's some fairly nice speakers in it because I found some packaging for some nice speakers. The other bonus is that I got this Weber right here, which is a Weber 45. And you know, this may or may not end up on this car. It may or may not work. We'll see. Got a couple of master cylinders too. I got a clutch master and a brake master, and then in the box a clutch slave cylinder, and then up top here there is a header. And that's also good news, because those headers, first of all, because of the high heat, the intense heat that these engines put out, the exhaust systems are made out of really heavy duty steel. They're made out of 0.125 gauge steel, 12 gauge steel. And so that header itself is about 40 pounds, much different than a lot of cars where the header is really light. But that's a good starting point for a header. That one came off of another RX-7, he said, and I don't know if the back end of it is finished properly to, you know, complete an exhaust, but it's a good starting point. So I'm kind of excited about that. Let's see. Oh yeah, and I did get a spare distributor also. What was that? Chilton manual in there. These little parts down here, which are these rear pocket kind of, they're pouches which go in right behind the seats. So anyway, you know, that's kind of where it's at right now. I have 2 RX-7s in my garage, and 2.5 months ago I didn't have one. Never thought I'd have one, but now I have 2. So we'll keep working on this and see how it goes. All right, take care.